Very good afternoon to everyone. I request all the participants, please come little ahead so that you can easily see and listen to all our presenters, experts, and you can take actual benefit that how the technology integration, how the business works, how entrepreneurship, because all the time learning never happens only in classroom. Apart from and what come all, don't sit behind, you come closer here because lots of other hundreds of students are coming. So if you want to come them in front of camera, you will be behind. You come, you will all have your picture and everything. You will be in light when you are coming first from them. Come ahead. All students come, you will understand that what exactly is the innovation system, what is the meaning of ecosystem, how it can be developed and where you exist, how you can participate in that, how you can get the best of opportunities in your life without knowing how you can be connected with the rest of the world or forget about the world, at least in Uganda. You should know what is the Uganda innovation ecosystem, what people are doing and how you can be a part of innovation ecosystem without knowing how you can do anything. So the first blessing is knowledge. Without knowing anything, you will never understand that what are the opportunities are available to you. A lot of people say that we have unemployment, not job opportunity. But it is really sad to see that when the experts are here and they are telling you how to do the things, how to get the things better, how to get a better employment, not even employment, also how to generate the entrepreneurship, your own startup. When experts are here, people think, hey, better, I should go and enjoy my coffee in the cafeteria. So later they think that what should I do to get a good job or better future in my life? But when the time was there, people are here to explain everything. That time they prefer more importance to a tea or chatting with their friend rather than listening to the experts. It's not a good culture. It's a mindset. It's a mindset that to whom we are giving more preference. Understand that the experts who have been invited, they have spared their valuable time. They have left there so many important activities to interact with our students for the benefit of our students. Otherwise, they are already very well accomplished. They are already very well settled. You are not going to give your salary to them once you get the benefit from their expertise, isn't it? It is really, we are very fortunate and we thanks to our experts, all our panel. First of all, we thanks to our dear, respected, the CEO of Tanya Innovation, Mr. Maganda Ivan. Sir, you are most welcome and thank you. We really, from the heartiest thanks to you for creating such event. It is whole initiative is, the credit goes to Mr. Ivan. He interacted with our university officials and proposed. It's a very good initiative from Tanya Innovations. We are thankful to you, sir. That this event is basically a platform where you will, without going to various sectors, various business and various knowledge and people who have achieved by their experience in many years, you are very fortunate that you are getting directly from them. Otherwise, you will learn after many years. So it is always, we feel fortunate, lucky, and blessed that without failing into many occasions, we are learning from the experience of others. We also invite and thanks to our all other distinguished guests. I will request that if we can just show the slide of our distinguished guest names. Yes. So we have with us Mr. John, this is Brittle. Mr. John. So Mr. John is here with us. We are thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time and your presence here. So one by one, I will invite all our distinguished members, guests to come on the dais. But you can see here, Mr. Ivan, please, sir, please come. So Mr. Ivan is here. Mr. Ivan has done a lots of digital innovations and experienced actual technology transfers and development of innovation ecosystem in Uganda and outside Uganda, many countries. So thank you so much, sir, for your coming here, visiting here, and sharing your valuable time with all our students. Then we have with us Mr. Eric Jaguara. Mr. Eric, we are very thankful to you for your presence here. Mr. Eric has done startup work. He has been an instrumental person to generate a lot of innovative ideas that how we can integrate technologies. We have with us Miss Susan. Miss Susan is a researcher, she is a scholar, and she has been active from number of years into the various research activities and ecosystem. Thank you, madam, for your presence here. We have with us Miss Olivia. Thank you, Miss Olivia. Some of our guests are looking very young, very, very young. But don't go on their age, don't underestimate them with their age, because what they have achieved, many of you will be thinking that some of you are nearly with the same age, isn't it? But what the best thing I have learned in my life, a person never grows by age. If we become very old and we think that with age we will get maturity, this is a myth. People don't get mature by age. People get mature by the work they do, by the accomplishment they gain or achieve. So in this young age, what all our distinguished guests, our visitors, our respected invitees have achieved, it is really good that why not we learn from them and see that what they have done and how we can get the best in our life by learning from them. So I really thanks to all the respected members, and also I would say our CEO of the Tanya, Mr. Ivan, that he's a great person who made all the arrangements. He made arrangements with all the invited guests. He made all the pearls of jewels in one garland, in one robe. So he's the man who actually created all these people together. Thank you so much, sir. So we have with us a beautiful girl, Miss Natasha. Oh, beautiful name. Please, madam. Miss Natasha will be now taking command of the stage, and she will be interacting with you that how you can get best of the knowledge, experience sharing by the experts, and what is the way forward for your future. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kumar. Thank you so much for welcoming us to Eastbatch University. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us. I think we're ready to kick off our program. All our guests are here, our guests and speakers, and we have also been warmly welcomed by the director in charge of academic affairs, and so I believe we are ready to kick off. You are very welcome to the second Practitioners Lecture Series for higher educational institutions that is organized by Tanya Innovations Africa. And so now we shall kick off our program with the anthems and a word of prayer. and then we will have a brief about what these lecture series are. So I'll just like to kindly request everyone to stand up on their feet so that we can have the national anthems. Sound team.
Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike, umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu. Uzalendo pia mshikamano viwe msingi wa umoja wetu, na tulinde uhuru na amani, mila zetu na desturi zetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike, umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu. Viwandani na hata mashambani, tufanye kazi sote kwa makini, tujitoe kwa hali na mali, tuijenge jumuiya bora. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike, umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
All right, thank you. So I'm now going to request one student volunteer to come and lead us in a word of prayer, an opening word of prayer, so that we can kick off the program. One student volunteer to lead us in an opening word of prayer. Anyone? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's humble ourselves. Father, in the mighty name of Jesus, we thank you for today. We thank you for this opportunity that you've granted us. We thank you for such a day. For this is the day that we shall rejoice and be glad in. Thank you for all the speakers. Thank you for all that you have prepared for us. May we have the tenacity and the language and alignment that we may know and understand what they have brought forth for us, that it may have impact in us and for us for the better days ahead of us. Thank you for Eastbite University. Thank you for everything is going to be okay. In the mighty name of Jesus, we pray and believe. Amen.
Thank you so much. You may now have your seats. Okay. Thank you so much. Once again, you are all most welcome. This is the second edition of the Practitioners Lecture Series for higher education institutions in Africa, and it is organized by Tanya Innovations. And today, the session is happening at Eastbach University. So thank you so much for joining us. We have already been welcomed by Dr. Kumar. I don't know if he wants to give any other official opening remarks. You are most welcome, Doctor.
To Ms. Natasha, thank you so much. So that time I was welcoming you all, but now I just want to take your 2 minutes more and then I will hand over the stage to our experts. We are talking about the Uganda innovation ecosystem. So it means there are 3 words. Uganda is the name of our country. Innovation. You know very well what is the meaning of innovation. Some people misunderstand it with the meaning of invention. Invention is the new discovery. But what we are talking about, innovation, that's something which is already discovered by somebody, but how to make the use of that with as different way that it should be something different. How innovatively you can generate your idea to utilize the things in best of the way. An ecosystem means the whole system, where in the innovation ecosystem means where all the groups are joined together, where the educationists, students, professors, research lab, research institutions, and government bodies, government councils, ministries, and also industries, because ultimately what all innovation and the new things which are coming up in the market by making the science and technology to implement in the various areas, including business, medical science, and everywhere. So all that thing will be generated with the help of new systems, technologies. But all these innovation, there is some kind of funding is required, there is a kind of idea is required, and lots of machinery is required. So the whole discussion of this lecture series, which is the second lecture series, will be focusing on how this innovation ecosystem is actually about, and what kind of support and what kind of things you can get and you can perform in your future. Because without knowing what is in our surroundings available, what kind of government policies or government bodies or agencies are available to support your career, and also we will learn from our experts that how they have implemented in real life. Because we are not only talking that these are the policies or this is what you can do. The live examples we have with us, that what they have done, and they will share you the way forward, that how together we can make the country better and better in all the time to come. That is the main purpose of this, because the country gets improvement when the citizens, when the people get improvement, when they understand what we can do, then only the country grows. So your actual contribution with full heart is very important for your growth. Then only if every one of us will grow, then only our country will grow. Country is made by countrymen. Don't feel gender bias, countrymen or women. Countrymen means all people of the country, right? So we all join hand together to again applause for our invited guests, and we start this conference, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kumar, once again for hosting us and for welcoming this initiative. I believe it is one that is very helpful for students, especially since you're still trying to navigate your career path. And we have here people who have tested and approved the methods. So they're going to speak to us about innovation, about startups, and all the things that we need to know. And so now I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome the person who has brought to us this initiative, the CEO of Tanya Innovations Africa. He'll tell us about this series. What are the Practitioner lecture series all about? What should we expect from these sessions? how has it been going on, and how can we participate, but also what is there for us to benefit from it. So you're very welcome, Mr. Maganda.
Thank you, MC. Good afternoon, all. Good afternoon. Yes, I've been introduced. My name is Maganda Evans Tabingwa. I'm happy this afternoon to be at Isbat University. But before I even make any comments, I would like, from the deepest part of my heart, to thank Dr. Kumar Pradip for this invitation and making sure that he's made us come to Isbat University. You can clap for him. I also want to acknowledge Dr. Paul, your academic registrar, because we've worked with him, and Professor Matthew. First of all, it's Professor Matthew that have been dealing your VC. He's been in the VC's forum, and we've been interacting with him. But I've also seen one of the members of IEEE. Is it Mr. Mayu? Yeah, Mr. Mayu. We with him in IEEE. He's a very active member. So I feel home this afternoon. Now, today we okay. So today you are not necessarily going to listen to me. I'm the gateway to what we are going to listen to this afternoon. You've heard of Tanya Innovations Africa. I'm CEO Tanya Innovations Africa. But I've also been a lecturer since 2008. How many years are those? Okay. Now, Tanya Innovations Africa is not a very old company. It's a company that started during COVID season. Okay? And one of the major reasons why we were motivated to start Tanya Innovations Africa was the time when Africa went to a standstill. When they were distributing vaccines and it was declared that Africans were going to be picked like locusts from the streets. And one of the first questions that I asked myself when the president of this nation was equally wondering what was going to happen to the nation after all the borders were closed, I was pointing fingers, asking what the leaders have been doing all this time along. But then in the process, I reflected, what was it that I had done as a lecturer who has been mentoring students throughout since 2008? I was busy pointing fingers at the leaders, and there was no single thing other than the students that had passed through my hands, graduating with their degrees. There was nothing tangible that I was able to identify that I could give, starting to the village where I was staying, then to the nation as an IT practitioner. From that very point, we came up, formed Tanya Innovations Africa. Besides being CEO, I'm actually the founder with many other parties. And what we started doing was leveraging technologies to cause social transformation. And at that point, we started creating global networks. So as you can see, we registered as Tanya Innovations Limited, but now we call it Tanya Innovations Africa because we have over 120 subsystems within companies, other companies across Africa, Europe, United States, actually across the globe. And the key area that we were looking at that time was making sure that rather than making a re-engineering or invention, we wanted to start from the productivity that had been achieved by other companies other than starting afresh. Because where we come from, whenever you want to do something, you think that you have to begin your own thing. But we realized that collaboration, networking, okay, was very important to ensure that we can stand on the shoulders of other companies that have made it and make the world a better place. And out of these interactions, we have managed to do quite a number of things. We have managed to get a number of investors into these economies. We have managed to attract so many deals with governments, to ensure that our country, for example, Uganda and many other African countries, because we are dealing across Africa, could be able to get better. Now, besides the global company innovations, we have also been having what we call the global talk shows. And the global talk shows, if you went on our YouTube channels, if you went on our LinkedIn platform, we have been having a number of guests, not just local, okay? It's very good to be customized in the local area, but we realize that we are becoming a global village and we need to up our conversation. We need to improve the mindset of our learners to be able to cross the borders, okay? And I would attest to you that many students that we researched from, when we would ask them what they aspire for, most of them will tell you, I need a job. And it's a very big problem, Mr. Pradeep. As we train all these students, even if you brought them innovations to start, they think, I need the job, because they first need to make sure that they earn, and they don't want to have something they can struggle with. And the aspirations are always within the borders. I'm a Ugandan, I need a job. Then you ask him, when you need the job, what is next? I need to have a place I can rent. Then what next? I need to build a house in the village. Now, if I carried out a research right now, because it's already a tested research, most of the young people, the ones we are relying on, thinking that they are thinking for East Africa, thinking that they are thinking for Africa, our minds are deep with aspirations to find a job in Kampala if you're in Uganda, then go back to your village, and that is where your competition is. But Africa as a continent, Uganda, and then going all over the globe, we need to be able to transit our minds beyond just the borders of where we come from. And so part of what we are doing is to bring out that conversation. Try to interest the students that you as an individual, you have a role, you have a unique space. Whether you are from Uganda, wherever you come from, you have a unique space, you are uniquely made, and therefore you need to fully utilize your education skills to be able to do what you're supposed to do. Now, on the next slide, okay, we have many things, but that I've been able to talk what Tanya Innovations does. Now, why Inter-University Practitioner Lecture Series, the learning outcomes, the Uganda Innovation Ecosystem Opportunities, and with the panelists that are here, okay? Now, before that, next slide. I want to interest ourselves with these famous. Now that this is an intellectual talk, I would like to interest ourselves to this man called Alvin Toffler, 1928 to 2016. How many have heard of Alvin Toffler? By show of hand. Okay. Now, that's why sometimes we come into these conversations. Now, Alvin Toffler was a famous American writer, an associate, actually, editor with Fortune magazines. Some of you who are aspiring to go into the global space as a student scholar at this point, you must know what a Fortune magazine is. The Forbes, okay? The Bloomberg, okay? Those are like some of those top-notch magazines, okay? But Alvin Toffler was an editor with Fortune magazine. He was an award winner, but he was a futurologist. People who could think ahead in times. And above all, he was a businessman. Alvin Toffler is well known for his research on social effects of modern technologies. But one of the quotes that I want to leave with you as you leave this room, he says, the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who can't read and write, but those who can't learn and relearn. I don't know whether you have internalized. Today we talk, can you read and write? That's not the conversation we are going to talk about. That is going to be a phased out. If you looked at the digital vision 2040 of Uganda, you'll realize that most of the parameters of literacy will be in 95%. Okay? If you talk about digital literacy, it will be 90%. If you talk about internet access, it will be 90%. So what we are looking at, for example, in the ecosystem of Uganda, which is a very small economy, there will be 90%. So we shall not be talking about whether somebody has the ability to read or write, but we shall be looking at people who have the ability. Those who can't learn and relearn will not be able to survive. And therefore, there are many things. And the reason why he was saying this was because of the innovations. Innovations have brought so many ideas. We are crowded with so many ideas, so much information. But what we make out of that information is what will make the difference. Okay? So I thought I just need to bring you that incentive to give you what Alvin Toffler said. Now, why Inter-University Practitioner Lecture Series? Why Inter-University? Next slide. Next. Okay. Very briefly, mentorship, relating academia to practice. We know that so many times you say we have been in class. Why is this type of lecture very unique? Some of the people you are having here, they are young. But I think as they are going to speak to you, you are going to relate to them better. The very same things that you do in class, they will be sharing with you. Examples of what they are doing and what they have done differently to be what they are. Okay? Like they will introduce to you, Susan here is running an academic, a startup in the area of education content development. And she's developing content for self-learners, okay? Right from pre-primary, primary to, okay? And she's doing it within the Ugandan system. How did she pick this idea during COVID? How did she manage to identify people that will support her? How did the education she had help her to be able to get where she is? Where are these investors anyway? If I ask this class again, you have an idea. You have heard about investors. Do you know where these investors are? Again, if I make research, I don't know about you, but most places we go, they just say, we know investors. And people think investors are those big people who bring billions and then they invest in buildings. We are talking about idea, any idea that you have, which you're thinking. Yeah? It needs refinement until it gets tested, until it becomes commercialized. And in Uganda here, we have investors who are looking for those ideas every other single day. Okay? We have people who are in the startup ecosystem. Mr. Brittle, as he's going to tell you, they are into supporting early startups. Okay? How do you get your idea? How do you convince the people who are supposed to give you those funds? We have a lady here who is also still a student like you. She's a finalist in agricultural engineering. Yeah? I've brought her because she was a winner of the African Challenge. What do you call it? Okay. African Challenge. And she won 10 million shillings. She already has a project that she's running. Just a student like you. How has she been able to do that? And that's exactly what we shall be looking from her. Then we have one of your students here. Okay? Eric Jaguara. Okay? He's a student here. But out there, we take him as a star. He's a technical man in AI applications, AI solutions. They're already having practical applications of AI solutions. Now, when you talk to many students, they just know we have AI, okay? Or they will talk about ChatGPT, or they will talk about Gemini using for exams, okay? But now we are talking, when you ask them, where is this AI? Okay? So what we are doing in this type of lectures is to make you, I know that this university is very good in technology, but now to give you examples in the local ecosystem for you to be able to connect to. So he'll be telling us that. And then another thing is that we are trying to look at entrepreneurial and employability skills, trends, and patterns. Some of the jobs you are training for are not even there. When we talk about jobs of the future, some of the jobs that will be there, we have not even touched them, the speed at which we are running. So we want to be able to take you into those skills and patterns. Then relevant research insights. Many graduates or students who do final projects, and this is not very good news. They just go, Xerox, pick projects from other universities, and I can confidently say that most of the projects that are done in third year, I don't want to use the bad word, but they're like projects that can be thrown in the dustbin. But sometimes it's because the students are so busy in class learning, but they are not learning from the practitioners to know where the actual problems are. So we bring this conversation to bring you such people to be able to take you from class, take you to some of the street practices to appreciate the terrain. Then, of course, relating learning to local economies. We learn because we are supposed to solve world problems. But if you have not been interested in what is happening in the economy, you will have a challenge of being able to identify those issues. Market trend analysis and mindset change. We all need to change our mindset. Okay? Like I've told you from the time of COVID, I'm completely a changed person. In fact, if I had discovered myself much more earlier, I would have been very much productive. Okay? I'm not a house-thinking person. I'm not only obsessed with how my children will eat. I am actually obsessed with when I die. What is it that I would have contributed to my nation? What is it that I would have contributed to Africa to make the change that it's supposed to have? Then, of course, lastly, contextualized learning. Students, they are good in getting the skills, but they don't have a way they get those skills to actually solve the problems that we want to solve. Now, we have technology today that is offering us immense opportunities for us to cause the transformation we want to see. And that transformation is not, for example, in Uganda for President Museveni. When we talk about Vision 2040, possibly President Museveni will not be there. Possibly the current cabinet ministers will not be there. That conversation is for you and me. So we need to look at that Vision 2040 clearly, be able to dive and see this vision where it's taking us. When we talk about the African Agenda 2063, it's even some of us will not be there. But what contribution can each one of us make to make that change that we need to make? Just another last insight that I wanted to give you. Okay? Apple, an American company. When I was looking at its size in terms of the finances, Apple, one company, combines all the wealth resources of East Africa, the 8 East African countries. And we are over 300 million people. One company like this. Okay? It's more wealthy than all when we have all the combined economies of the 8 East African countries. You know those ones? Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Burundi, Rwanda, South Sudan. Which is the other one? DRC, okay? And of late, Somalia. Okay? Now, what conversation does that give you? You and me, 300 people in East Africa. All the things we are doing, plus what the presidents are doing, all of us, Apple, one company, is able to summarize all that wealth and put it into one, just because of technology. So as you are busy thinking about one border, for them, they have already used technologies to make the borders porous. And therefore, you wake up every morning, you are using their services on internet. But for you, you are going to plant coffee in your garden and you are quarreling with your neighbor about the size of your land. So this is power of technology. Some of the economies, okay, when we talk about the digital economy, okay, as some of the speakers will be able to bring to your front, it will be able to show you that we have so much opportunities for us to think and utilize the resources other than the quarrels we are obsessed with. Because when we find the type of quarrels we have in our ecosystem, you'll find that people are busy thinking that the land is going, as people are fighting with intellectual property. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll go on and on. Allow me ask the MC to still take us to the next part as we listen to the presenters. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Maganda. One of my highlights, introductory remarks regarding this practitioner lecture series, was the fact that there's a lot of information, but what we make out of the information is what makes the difference. And so I hope that today, as our experts share with us their experiences and all the information from what they've done, I hope that one of us gets to create something tangible from what is going to be shared. Kudos to you, Evans and Tanya Innovations, for bringing this very powerful initiative to our students here. I'd like at this point to welcome our first presenter, who will be unpacking the topic, Uganda's digital innovation ecosystem. He'll be taking us through the opportunities, challenges, and insights for university students. Mr. John Brito is from Side B Partners, and he's also an expert when it comes to the innovation ecosystem. Are very welcome, Mr. Brito.
Thank you, Natasha. Thank you, Evans, the invitation, and obviously to the team at ISBOT. So my name is John Bertel. I'm recovering from something, so bear with me. Do I have a deck up? So I'm going to talk for about 12 minutes, and then I'm going to give you an opportunity to ask questions. I'm going to tell you about myself, I'll tell you about my company, and then I'll talk about the ecosystem here. So I don't know, I thought it was the Dr. Kumar said that I'm young, so I was very happy. I celebrated my birthday this past week, so I'm very happy, but I am in my 50s, so but I'm glad that I'm in my young age, according to him. Thank you. I come from Silicon Valley, so I come from the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area. My mother and father are both technologists. My mother built the first circuit boards that went into computers in the 1960s and 70s. My father built the first mainframes for banks in New York City. So I come from this part of the world, and I've been in Uganda, in East Africa, for the last almost over 20 years. So I'm very familiar with the communities here. I studied agricultural economics and statistics for my bachelor. I did a dual degree at Davis. And then I worked in the field for about 10 years, and then went back to get my master's. I did 2 masters at the same time. I did my MBA, and then I did a master's in international affairs, which is diplomacy work, and I did it at George Washington University in Washington, D.C. Through all my universities, I worked full-time and went to school full-time. So I don't know what it's like to just do school full-time and not work. And so kind of as the evolution of that conversation has sort of come up in my company, which is called Side B, we are an early stage backer, right? We're what you call VC, which is venture capital. So we work with early stage ideas and firms to go ahead and grow them to the next level. One of the things that we're working on now is actually a venture studio. For those who aren't aware, but venture studios ultimately take companies and drive growth. And our target over the next 12 months, we've got 5 companies that are in our mix. We're targeting 1 million in revenue, 5 million in valuation, and we want to exit in 12 months on 5. And we've got pretty solid backers behind us. So we are doing a call for applications. We've got 2 slots filled. We're looking for 3 more slots. So if that's of interest to anybody, please get in touch with either Evans or Dr. Kumar. We're happy to share information here. So basically, the story that I was telling you about working and going to school, one of the things we have in our company is a fellowship program. And we work with, actually, Cavendish University. We work with MOOBS. We work with UCU, and we also work with Matt Abacus, and I'd love to work with ISBAT to open up this fellowship opportunity to existing current students who are in their final year, and we take you through a 12-month fellowship program. It's paid, and you actually work on real clients, and you actually go through a 22-week training program, and you actually go through an external FMVA financial modeling and valuation analysis course. So this is all part of the fellowship, and we actually encourage students who are currently going to school to participate, because we want to see what it looks like when you're under pressure. So that's the goal of the fellowship. One of the things I didn't mention, I also sit on the board for the American Chamber of Commerce in Uganda. We're having our inaugural golf tournament this Saturday at Chigo. So if any golfers in the room, please let me know. It's tomorrow. And I also sit on the faculty advisors group. There's 4 of us, and we advise for the curriculum over at Cavendish University. I sit for the School of Business, obviously. And so we're revising the curriculum to sort of be a bit more tangible and try to still remain within the regulatory confinements of the Minister of Education, but at the same time trying to be a bit more proactive in terms of forward-looking in terms of education. So I'm really grateful to be here. So that's a little bit about me and a little bit about the company and what we do. I'm actually not far from here, so we have offices here overseas in Mauritius, and we've got partners from obviously the United States and Canada. So we're a bit of a African-focused firm. So that's about me. So let's talk about this ecosystem conversation. Let's kind of get into this. Say, you know, what is this ecosystem we keep on talking about, and what are we referring to? This is actually, when I first got into this space, I didn't understand what the word ecosystem meant. Actually, it was a bit of a confusing word. And if you, unfortunately, in this market, and we're in a developing market, you have a lot of what's referred to as donor rhetoric. These are donors. These are people who are not from here, and they're donating money and getting influence on behalf of that money. And so this is the US government, every single bilateral institution, multilateral institutions, World Bank, EU, right? These institutions here. And so they end up driving this rhetoric about what ecosystem means. And unfortunately, when they speak in a very vague, difficult to follow conversation. There are 4 people that are part of this ecosystem. You're in one of them. You're in a university. This is the first building block of the ecosystem, right? What's another building block of the ecosystem? There's only 4. Universities. Somebody say money. Thank you. The government. And who else? The 4th player. Huh? No, investors is money. Who's the 4th person? Is the corporates, so the companies. The companies that are being generated. Now, a lot of literature will have you think that there are 20 other actors in this space. They're not there. If you were to look at any ecosystem globally, whether it's Silicon Valley, Los Angeles, Boston, Toronto, Tel Aviv, Tokyo, Dubai, Tallinn, Estonia, any ecosystem, the government is heavily involved, to the tune of 30 to 40% of most revenue of most companies. Apple, it's 30 to 40% of its revenue from the US government. Microsoft, same. HP, the same. Google, same. Facebook, same. Government is the demand person in the ecosystem. And without a demand profile, without a demand from the government, it's very difficult to get this early stage ecosystem started. So you want to see a PPDA window just for early stage, separate from big business, construction, mining, whatever, all that corporate stuff, right? Coca-Colas and all that stuff, right? You want to segregate and separate those things. So ecosystem, quite specifically, the demand side of it comes from the government. It starts there. Wonderful. I was at the Ministry of Finance 15th National Competitiveness Forum last week, where they're talking about how to get from $40 billion in revenue, which is how much you make as a country, it's your GDP, to 500. Go 10x. How do you go 10x in 10 years? Extremely difficult. So how do you get to that point? Early stage is a huge part of that conversation. They launched and communicated to us a wonderful program they did under Kira Motors, right? The buses, these electronic buses. They've got a fantastic factory out in Jinja. If you went to this factory, looks like I'm in China or United States. It's amazing. Done a really good job there. But how do you propagate that to the rest of the, right? It's actually quite a difficult thing. So when we think about the ecosystem, that's what we're referring to. If we talk about it in the context of the demand profile and the ecosystem, money, capital is the most important piece of this too. So you have the government and then you have the capital. Without the capital provision out there to go ahead and provide the ecosystem with the support it needs to get going, meaning you up front have this wonderful idea and you need $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, and you need to move on a project. Who does that? VC does that, right? We do that. But you don't just do it for anybody, you only do it to the best ideas and the people who are most capable. And there's characteristics of what those people look like. I'm not talking physically, but from a profile perspective. And those are the people that we end up investing in. But when you think about it from a capital perspective, in the United States alone, 43% of the S&P of our stock exchange is VC backed. It started at VC. It started with an idea. If you look at it from a market cap perspective, over half of our market cap, VC. Market cap meaning the value of those assets, right? And when you think about it in terms of employees, VC backs over a third of all employment in the country. So VC is a significant part of the economy, and this part of that ecosystem we're referring to. Next slide. Just contextually, when you think about VC, you have many stages. This is contextually what's happening in the ecosystem, everything from seed, angel, pre-series, series A, B, C, D, and beyond. These are different levels of capital that you allocate to early stage ideas. And one of the reasons, unfortunately, in markets like Africa, which you see this, what you see is about 85–90% of the VC, venture capital money, entering the African market, which is about only 2% of the global market. It sits at around $4.5 billion in the entire continent of all 55 countries. Vast majority of that comes from the United States. Why? Because we have long-term capital wealth accumulation, right? So we can spend $1 million and it doesn't really hit our checkbook, right? It doesn't like bother us. Whereas if you spend $1 million here out of your pocket, it's like a big thing, right? It's a big thing. But we have to get to that point where we're saving up our capital, and you save up your capital through things like, and you won't like this, NSSF. I know it's a very political football, but it's the most important form of long-term capital savings in the market. It's the largest piece, $13 trillion shillings, right? This is very significant. Pensions, right? Long-term savings is where this opportunity comes from. So it's important to understand that for you as what I'm hoping to see, what I think I see as budding technologists in this market. So that's what I think I see when I look out. Next slide. So again, when we think about this context of ecosystem, what are we talking about? We as a company define it into 4 primary categories, right? We talk about it in the context of ecosystem, talk about it in the context of origination, the context of capital, which is money, what we deal with, and finally in the context of the firm. And each have their own definitions, and those definitions are the definitions we are quite frankly trying to lobby for to make sure that the Ugandan government doesn't misdefine this stuff, because it's very easy to do. And if you look at the current policies getting started for the Startup Act, which is happening right now, if you're not aware, the Ugandan government is, through a few ministries, trying to actually work out what it means to be a startup. And let me just ask by a show of hands, or maybe anybody you might know, does everyone know what a startup is? Raise your hand, yeah? I know more of you know it, don't be shy. Okay. What defines a startup? Somebody raised their hand right here, yeah? What defines the startup? What defines a startup?
I didn't go the full definition, but
No, just give me one item.
like when you start a new company, already see other companies are there and the revenue is small.
If I'm 20 years old, am I new? If I'm 20 years old, am I new?
You are not new.
So you're telling me it's defined by age.
I just tell you how I heard about it.
Well, what is new?
That's it.
When are you just started? What is new? You see the problem? Okay, let's define it by another thing. What's another thing that would potentially define startup if it's not age? You and then you.
I'm thinking innovation.
Innovation.
Yeah.
What is innovation?
Innovation is like the skill that like you take action. Like you have an idea, then you take
So if
action.
I had a chapati stand in Kamocha, but I made the best chapatis, and I put gold nuggets in those chapatis, wouldn't I be the best chapati maker? Is that a good innovation?
Yeah, of course.
Innovation is a very subjective, difficult thing to define. What makes a startup? If it's not age and it's not innovation, what is it? Somebody over here had their hand up in the orange. Speak up. I don't know if the mic's going to get you quick enough. Just say anything. Say it.
Well, according to me, it was similar to what you had said, but for me, I think startup is like the idea, developing that idea and putting it into place. That's
Okay,
what it would be.
so an idea is very difficult to define, right? I would argue that every single one of us in this room have thousands of ideas, right? In our brains right now. Even judgments about me standing up here talking to you. It's too subjective to even go there. So here's what the SME and also the corporate policy defines. If you are of a certain number of employees, if you are of a certain size in revenue, meaning turnover, annual turnover, or if you are of a certain age. Right? Now the problem with that, I'm going to give you an example, and this I just want to throw this out here for contextual purposes. Does everyone know Twitter? You remember, you know X, formerly Twitter, right? Largest social media platform, right? When Elon bought Twitter, how old was Twitter? It was 10 years old. It had been on the market for 10 years when Elon bought it a couple years ago. How much revenue did Twitter make? It made $4 billion in revenue every year, $4 billion US dollars. That's approximately 10 GDP points of Uganda. Significant. How many employees did Twitter have at that time? You're right, thousands of employees, thousands, more than this entire building. They were still considered a startup. Why? Why? They didn't break even. They were still young in the context of media in their industry. They were only 10 years old. Media has been around for thousands of years. When you compare 10 to 1,000, arguably you could say that that's pretty young, right? So it's not what number is it? It's very difficult. And whether or not that product market fit actually went in there is another way. So we really have to rethink and redefine what we're talking about when we're talking about ecosystem in early stage. Next slide. The last thing I want to mention here as we close up, and then I want to open up for questions, is one of the things that we were hired to do, we did some work for the bilateral. So bilateral institutions are governments who are doing work in your country. the Dutch, the Danish, the Germans, the French, the Brits, the Japanese, the Koreans, the Americans, the Canadians, yeah? There's a group called the Private Sector Working Group. I sit on that group, and I represent the early stage private sector, and we did research for that group. It also included the multilaterals, the EU, World Bank, the UN, those are multilateral institutions. And they're all asking the same question. What is it that what are we spending our money on? How much money are we spending, and what are we spending our money on? So in Uganda alone, those institutions generate about 10% of your GDP. It's about $4 billion US, and they allocate 80% of that to SME programming. And 80% of that money is in the context of training. I just want to ask you a very simple question. Is it possible to train somebody and create a job? Is it? Is it possible to train somebody and create a job? And this is what that $4 billion is trying to ask, and unfortunately has failed miserably for a number of years. There's not a single job that's been created from that training. And so the question is how or what are you going to be allocating that $4 billion to? And our interest is to say, well, why wouldn't you put it into early stage, right? So that's kind of the conversation that's happening. When we ended up doing that research for them, we ended up mapping it in the context of ecosystem. If you were to take all the ecosystems that are super successful, Silicon Valley, Tel Aviv, Los Angeles, Boston, what are the main characteristics that you see in each of those ecosystems? What's the number one characteristic that you think you probably see in that ecosystem? You ever heard of Stanford, MIT, Tel Aviv University? These are the foremost universities and probably the best universities in their class when it comes to education. It's extremely expensive to get in, very difficult, very competitive, but they're also producing the most startups and the most companies. It's educational institutions. So if there's not that convergence of talent out there, the ecosystem doesn't exist. And that's one of the 10 components that we ended up identifying here. What do you think another component, a significant component is of a good ecosystem? Meaning an ecosystem that actually drives value. So you start up an idea, you want to go online with your necklaces, and you want to hit more customers than Uganda alone. What is it about those ecosystems that allow you to do that, that this ecosystem has a little bit of difficulty doing? What are some ideas? What do you think? So obviously education, talent. But the other thing about that when it comes to these ecosystems is you actually have a whole lot of really smart people in one space. It's not to say you're not smart. But what it's saying is it's attracting the globe's talent into that one spot. And it's attracting it there because it's a great place to live. It's a great place to live, meaning people go to San Francisco because they can get good restaurants, decent housing, they can walk on the street without getting mugged, they can, right, there's no potholes in the streets, there's no police asking them for bribes just to get to work. You're following? So those ecosystems are super important in terms, those things are super important in terms of attracting the people to do the things that you want to do in the ecosystem. Surprisingly enough, Uganda is, if you think about East Africa, tends to be that convergence for multiple cultures and places. They come here, and in terms of living. This is the surprisingly, Kampala becomes the East Africa contextual place for that convergence. So when we went ahead and, where's the deck? Am I at my time? Okay. The other 8 items were things like neutrality. So I think, interviewed about 150 startups during this research. So every startup has a basic structure. You have a business guy, and you got a tech guy, right? I mean, for the most part. You got a guy who knows how to market, the guy who knows the technology. And 100% of the 150, either the technology guy screwed over the business guy, or the business guy screwed over the tech guy. Not 90%, 100 in this market. You can't have an ecosystem that doesn't have neutrality as a fundamental premise, meaning when I speak and I tell you, hey, I'm doing this thing, I'm doing a venture studio here in Kamocha. Am I worried about you copying my venture studio? Not really. But if you talk to the startups, they're worried about saying that because they're worried that somebody's going to copy their idea. And it's because of this reason. So there is something about neutrality that's super important. Obviously, you need to have convergence in terms of infrastructure, transport. You need to have airports, roads, train, rivers, right? There's no inbound geographically space where you don't have water associated with a good ecosystem. It doesn't exist. Just think about that. Long-term capital, high quality of life, I said. You obviously have to have some kind of existing industry. When you think about Silicon Valley and when it started, the #1 industry in Silicon Valley at the time, it was a big orchard, right? It was oranges, apricots, I think. Orchard, just trees, fruit trees. The first people that were in there was the United States military, the Navy, NASA, the space program, and then the Air Force. And so you had this military who was training all these electrical engineers who could figure out how to work with electronics. And that's how Silicon Valley gets started, right? Through that industry. So you want to think about that from that perspective in terms of ecosystem, and we're contextualizing this. So next slide. Next slide. I want to go down to finish on one slide. Keep going. Keep going. Those are exits. So we already talked about that. Yep. We talked about that. The challenges, I'm okay. We can skip that. I'm going to go to the next slide. Next. Next. Here. So these are some of our views. I mean, as a company that's working in this space, I want to leave you with this message when it comes to ecosystem. There is an opportunity here in Uganda to do something really unique and really special, but you do need certain people to sort of be a part of that. And so one of the things that, and the reason why I'm involved in education is because I think it does start at the university level. And so how do we get a challenge? How do we get a demo day? How do we get a business competition going right here in Isbat or right here in Cavendish? So with money behind it, right? That's kind of the idea that I'm after, to sort of generate and start ideas to start flowing. So once you get those ideas to start flowing, you start seeing some real successes, and there have been a few on the market, right? We have a few unicorns, but we also have a lot of folks who have exited the market, meaning they started a firm, raised capital, got bought out, right? This is the pathway for this market. So I want to leave you with that. I'd love to see and think about that. I don't know if Isbat has a student body, or I don't know what you call it. A student guild. I would encourage whoever's the head of the student guild to go ahead and talk to some of the people on the market and see how you could get them on board. You know one right here in front of you. Get them on board to go ahead and see how you can end up starting a business plan competition, a demo day, something that actually brings ideas together, pitches them, starts to evolve that conversation with real money behind it, real backers behind it, and doing that kind of thing. So I'm going to leave you with that. I appreciate you guys listening to me, and feel free to ask any questions. I think I have a few minutes to answer a few questions, but I thank you for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions before John takes his seat? Question? And in case you think of a question later, you can take note of it, and then we shall have a joint Q&A session at the end. Thank you so much, Mr. Brito. I think we were casually discussing when we had just arrived. I think we saw in the lobby there was a notice about an entrepreneurship week that starts tomorrow. So I think that the insights that John has shared are really, very timely, and I hope that you can get to use them as a building block as you begin to innovate and start your entrepreneurship week tomorrow. Thank you so much. Evans would like to add something, I believe.
Okay, thank you. You want to clap for John in a much better? Okay. Now, there's some information we are trying to curate. And maybe besides, because there's limited time and we are trying to fix all this, but I think we are going to try to share all these slides. That's the reason why we're here, so that you can go in. But one of the things that I want to interest you is, like I've told you, the inability of our students, besides the skill they get in class, getting what is happening around. You've listened from John and he said, there is no way you can ignore government. So what I'm saying is that today, irrespective of our political affiliations, governments have carried out a lot of research. They're benchmarking with other governments that are doing better. And it's very important to look at the source documents, not just to start imagining ideas, because there are many ideas. If you read the government policies, if you understood what the government vision is, there are immense opportunities that would open unto you to see where we are going. Because when you start a business, you're not just starting in your home. You are starting that to run in Kampala, which must have a number of facilities in place. So maybe what I want to interest you in relation to that, any person who is doing innovations in Uganda, I want you to interest yourself on the following documents if you don't have information on them. Ask yourself, do you know the Vision 2040 of Uganda? If you are calling yourself an innovator who is aspiring to cause change, do you know the Vision 2040 of Uganda? That structure outlines the sectors, how they are going, how the oil sector is going to operate, how much money is in the oil sector. It talks about the digital vision of Uganda. It tells you how much money the government is planning to plant there, which skills is Uganda looking at. And it means if you are starting as an innovator, you will know where they are going so that you can align your idea with at least what the government is trying to put in place. I don't know if you're getting the conversation. So when you look at the 2040, you will understand the economy and where the investments are being put. If you look at the Digital Vision 2040, and of late they have just launched the digital roadmap, okay, for 5 years, from 2023 to 2028. In there, they have put the key skills they are looking at to train. So if you're here and you're a student, you'll know where the government is looking at in terms of AI, okay? You will know which infrastructure the government is planning to put in place. You will even get the statistics of how many people in Uganda need to be trained in terms of millions, so that possibly you could start something in relation to skilling, okay? Also in terms of the digital skills strategy, you will be able to find some of this research work, and it will inform you. And the beauty about it is that all those research have been carried out benchmarking on countries like Estonia, Tunisia, and many other countries. You may also want to know what the Fourth Industrial Revolution Committee, we have a Fourth Industrial Revolution strategy for this country. Did you know about that? So as you talk about your industrial revolution, at least there is something, there is a paperwork that has been done in terms of what the government of Uganda or the people of Uganda need to do to be able to achieve the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Mr. John Brittle here is a member of the, what did you call the competitive, the one, huh? National competitive. Okay. Now, we have conversations that are ongoing in terms of how this country can be made competitive. And certainly they are discussing of skill gap areas that, you know, we need many innovators. So interest yourself to go into some of these reports, go into some of these policies. They will inform you of which direction you need to take so that your ideas do not look scattered or off. We also have the World Bank assessment report that tells you the research that has been carried on Uganda, for example, and the areas that need to be invested into. Now, Now, once you have information in some of those linkages, linked areas, it will give you a favorable platform for you to make a successful startup. Thank you.
As the students begin to prepare themselves to get onto that journey. Now, as we continue to speak on entrepreneurship and innovation, we have someone here who has tested and approved the methods and the different resources that have been shared. Miss Susan Kantabana. She's the CEO and the founder of Streamline Education Startup. She is a master's degree holder in education administration and human resource development. And she's going to be talking to us about how she was able to transform an idea into an EdTech startup in Uganda, and also her story, so that we can get inspired as we get into our entrepreneurship week, but also as we step into the innovation. You're very welcome.
Thank you so much, Tanya Innovations, Isbat University, the student fraternity, for having us. They've told you I'm a teacher, so sometimes when it's afternoon, we know that the concentration level becomes low. So I'm going to kindly ask you to stand up for 1 minute, and we do something. Everybody. Up, up, up. It shouldn't take you ages. I think we are below 35, most of us. So you'll forgive me, I'll take you as my students, and I'll ask you to turn on your right, bend on your right, and also bend on your left. Bend backwards, and then bend forward. I'll not ask you to put your hands up, but you can have a seat. My name is Susan Mukanhabana. I'm glad to be here. I am a teacher by profession, and I'm here to talk about Streamline Education. It is an EdTech startup here in Uganda, and I'll share with you my journey. So, briefly, my background: I'm a Ugandan female. I was born and I've grown up in Uganda. I've studied in Uganda all through. My education, I got my bachelor's in education from Chambogo University. I went on to get my master's from Uganda Management Institute in education administration and human resource development. My career journey, I've been a teacher actively for 10 solid years. So I'm not very young. And most of my teaching experience has been in international education, but most specifically dealing or teaching children who do not go to class to study, who don't study from that typical classroom. So now there are so many questions there, because most people in Uganda assume that learning only happens when you are in the classroom. Not so. And most of us experienced what we call education in the classroom. But I'll tell you much about that. And that is where Streamline Education was birthed from. I started my teaching career in 2014 at the International School of Uganda. and I was there for 2 years. It is from there that I discovered that as the world grows and as people are moving from one country to another, the world is opening up. So education is also becoming dynamic and more open. I realized that there are students who needed to study, but they can't, the situations around them cannot allow them to be in the classroom. So what are some of those groups or types of students? We have students with special needs, or students with learning disabilities. We have students whose parents are experts that keep on moving from one country to another because of the nature of their job. There are parents who are business people that keep moving from places to places. There are children who are in early years careers, like they start their careers at an early age. You've seen young athletes, you've seen motocross racers, you've seen other children at a young age who participate in competitions, and sometimes these competitions do not allow them to be in class all the time. We also have a very big refugee community in Uganda, where children come from different countries to seek asylum in Uganda. And from those countries, they are on different study programs, but also because of that disruptions, because of war and insurgencies, their education journey is altered or disrupted. So they need a lot of help and support. So those are some of the groups of children that may not find themselves fully supported by a system, by an education system that only happens in class. I identified an opportunity there and left mainstream teaching, where I just go to school and teach, and started supporting these students, mostly at home, but also online. Now, that was from 2016 until now. I'm just going to tell you my journey to show you how an entrepreneur along the way can identify gaps or issues and then think of how to turn those gaps or those issues into an idea. When we started dealing with those students, we realized that we can, education outside the classroom can be fully supported, especially on the pre-primary, primary, and secondary level, can be fully supported by international curricula or curricula that is not Ugandan. How many of us have fully studied on the Ugandan curriculum? Like me. I just want to ask 3 people, quickly. 3 people, quickly. What do you feel is the biggest challenge with our education system in Uganda? And what would you wish to see change in our education system? Very quickly, 3 people. Especially those who studied in our system. What do you think, what do you see is the biggest challenge when it comes to our education system? You can stand up quickly.
Thank you, madam. Biggest challenge with Ugandan education is that since my childhood, we have been experiencing a lot of theories and we learn a lot of subjects. In secondary, lower secondary, at advanced, we take options. But at lower secondary, we take like 10 subjects where I don't have even experience, like can do anything that is practical, that can give you a skill in anything else.
So quickly, you're saying that it's too theoretical than practical.
Yes, madam.
As you grow, maybe you'll have children or not, but let me not ask in that direction. what would you wish to see changing in our education system for the young children that are coming up?
I wish that the government of Uganda at least emphasize that the teachers who are going to be teaching us discover the talents that we are actually in, and actually drive us towards achieving goals in those specific talents.
So
that one can make us
focusing
achieve.
more on talent discovery and actually supporting those talents.
Yes, madam.
At a much younger age.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Let me have someone else quickly. I know we don't have a lot of time. One challenge that you know about our education system, please stand up. Thank you.
I'll just summarize what he says, that Ugandan system just trains job seekers than job creators. In short, we study predefined curriculums, study Tennessee varies, all those things that you're not supposed to study in Uganda. You know, all that crap. So I think we should be studying things that are supposed to help us. Not think that you're going to cram history. That's
yes.
useless.
So they are training you mostly to go and look for a job
than creating jobs.
But they are not training you to see how to be creative. Thank you. What would you want to see change in 2-3 words? What new thing would you want to see in our education system?
The only solution is doing practical courses.
So the education being more practical.
Yes.
Thank you. Maybe the other side very quickly, and then we'll go back.
Thank you. Mine is about the time that we take in school. It is too much of, like, it is prolonged.
So,
and by the time someone gets qualified on anything,
yes,
they are diving into responsibility.
Yes.
So it doesn't allow us to have that time where someone has no responsibility, but has the skill and the knowledge that he can use that time to innovate something.
So education is time consuming.
Yeah.
Thank you. What new thing would you want to see?
It is reducing the time. Like you find by the age of 16, someone has already qualified for something and can use that time to innovate something, because you find someone by the time you're getting like 30 or 27, you're getting your first degree. That is the skill that you are having. So you find you're not using that time because your focus will be on looking for money, take care of your people.
Thank you. Thank you so much for everybody. I'm going to pick from what they've said. Time consuming. We know that a child right now has to be in class at least by 8. Others in primary, they start at 6 a.m. and they study the whole day. You know how much time you used to study. You know how old you are. You know how much time you have to do other things vis-a-vis the time you have to dedicate to your academic journey. Not so. So I told you that we started dealing with children who cannot be supported by this normal education system. But when we are dealing with them, we realize that we cannot use the Ugandan system because it is structured in a way that is not flexible to facilitate learning outside the classroom. And I think we all agree. So the only option we had is to use international curricula, like from the US, South Africa, and online schools from these countries that have moved ahead of us in terms of making education flexible. He was talking about time consuming. From 2016, I've taught children in Uganda who only study like for 4 hours a day. And other times, they are able to do whatever they are doing. For example, if a child is an athlete, they can study from 9 to 12:30, and they can use the afternoon to go and do their training. And then they are able to maybe become pro athletes at a young age. But think about yourself. When will you have time to go and train and become a pro athlete? Will you compete with someone who started training when he was 5 years? That's a question. As we were moving on, we realized that the only way we can support Ugandan parents who may not be able to be on this international curriculum is to go back and work with the relevant stakeholders to restructure the way we teach in Uganda. Yes? And as Streamline Education, our vision is to make learning more flexible and possible wherever the learner is. Out of these years that I've dealt with these students, I've realized that learning can happen anywhere. As long as the right tools and the right personnel and the right support is available. If those three are in place, the tools, the personnel, and support, learning can happen anywhere. So our core, I think you're moving faster than me, the person on the slides. We are on the third slide. Yes, our initial concept was to make learning more flexible. That is flexibility, that a learner can learn anywhere, either at home, at school, or online. And to make it tech-driven, because you can not make something flexible without involving technology, and also making it borderless, that a learner can be anywhere and still learn. And our core focus was providing learning resources that are accessible from anywhere for each learning level. So we had to start from the beginning, the pre-primary level, or what we call the nursery school, until we go up. Then also, in this, we're supposed to support teachers and families with tools to support these learners in whatever environment these learners are. Then also creating learning spaces where these learners can collaborate. I was also asked to talk about the challenges we as the startup faced, but I'm going to skip the first steps that we took because of time. Most of the challenge that we face, because when you're starting something, every idea is unique. So that unique idea definitely has challenges, because there is nothing that doesn't have a challenge. In our work, we realize that our target market is not very big. If I ask you here if you know anyone or you yourself have experienced learning outside classroom, maybe I'll get a hand or two or no. So we realize that our target market is small, but it is there. We also realize that the EdTech space in Uganda is still growing. We do not have a lot of examples or tangible inspiration of EdTech companies that have grown in this space. Most of us that are trying to do this are still growing, so we are still doing most of the first-time experiences ourselves. But also, when you look at the EdTech space, so when I say EdTech is education technology space, the legal framework of Uganda concerning education is not in place to tell us or to show us exactly what to do. They've not yet, the policies and the government has not yet put up an EdTech policy to show us what to do and how to do it. So you find that most of the times you can't even get license to teach fully online with the Ugandan curriculum. Then the resources and support, then the structure of the education system in Uganda. We all know that most of the learning that is taken as progressive still happens in the classroom. And in our experience, most of the things that we've done to overcome these challenges, we know, or any entrepreneur in this room or anywhere else will tell you that entrepreneurship most of the times is a lonely journey, because you're the one who has the idea. So as you face the challenges, you need to understand that you need to embrace the lonely journey that comes with entrepreneurship. But also, as you are navigating entrepreneurship, you need to be able to understand that you need other entrepreneurs around you. Why? Because you need the support, you need the knowledge. Doctor was talking about knowledge as a blessing or as a gift. There is no way you can operate without other entrepreneurs if you're an entrepreneur. I'm going through it real quick. We also first had to understand the support that we needed. For example, did we need funds? Where do we get these funds? How much do we need to start? If we need support in terms of knowledge, which kind of knowledge do we need? Where do we get this knowledge? For example, like attending incubation, going to incubation hubs. There are very many incubation hubs here in Uganda. If you want to know, we can provide that information. There are very many innovation hubs. Right now, we partnered with the National ICT Innovation Hub under the Ministry of ICT. These are all support avenues that you as an entrepreneur need to look out for as you walk this entrepreneurial journey. Also, you need to be very, very creative with the available resources. Sometimes you don't have the money you need. Sometimes you may have the knowledge, but not the money. Sometimes you may have the money, but not the knowledge. Sometimes you may have the money and the knowledge, but not the right team. So you have to be creative and make sure that you use what you have optimally, but also you look for what you don't have so that you don't miss out. There are very many people who have money, but they don't know how to use it or even use it wrongly. You, as an entrepreneur, this is very, very important, especially for those who are looking to get funding, pitch, and innovation spaces in these hubs. You need to, build a solid business case. You have to be clear on the real value you're bringing in the market. You hear this social media thing, like, what do you bring on that table? So, as you are thinking of any idea or being an entrepreneur, you need to be clear on what you are doing, how you're going to do it, and what value is it bringing. Because even when you're pitching your idea, maybe to someone or to a group or to even investors, they'll ask you, what are you solving? What is the value of this innovation? What is the niche? How do you stand out? So your value, your idea has to be unique, and you should be able to be clear on. Then also you need to. Oh, let me skip that. How much time do I have? Oh, it's done. Done. Yeah. So most of the people we work with, I've talked about them. We are now working with learners. We have resources for learners in pre-primary. We are working on primary, both in digital and in print, and the learner can work anywhere. We have learners in 4 countries right now: Uganda, Rwanda, Kenya, and the US. We are going to Malawi next month, and we pride ourselves in working with learners who may not access the classroom, but they can learn from wherever they are. So because of time, I may not be able to go through other things. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you, and well done with all the work that you're doing at Streamline Education. It's insightful to get to hear that other people are doing these things. We're racing against time because we've been told that some of you have a class at 4 p.m. But unfortunately, we started a bit late, so we're just trying to wrap it up very quickly. So without wasting any more time, I'd like to invite Eric Jaguara. Eric is a student.
Okay. Sorry, we don't have much time, but we shall just still be able to whatever, the behind info. We started a little bit late, but I'm told also this class, we're supposed to use this building later for another class. But just something about Susan. We've not gotten enough time because what we wanted her to, she's among the 29 startups currently in Uganda who've been taken up by the Ministry of ICT, and they are currently being onboarded at Nakawa, okay? Maybe she didn't get time because part of the things I wanted her to tell us was how she won being taken up by National ICT, because many of you don't even know that we have a hub that gives free internet, gives free computers, gives free office space for you to start your business. Right now, she's a beneficiary of that, okay, at Nakawa. So we just want to know that those facilities are there. We also wanted to let you know that while she was talking about, the challenges she's having, but the major frame we wanted, especially in regard to you, was that she started also this idea, I think, was it around COVID time? And how we met is that I've been part of the people she's been passing through to sell some of her books to the Kenyan network of Tanya Innovations. So she started this idea, but right now it's more or less scalable. But maybe we shall find more time and maybe online shows to be able to break more on this. So let's take this time to now invite Mr. Eric Jaguara. Mr. Eric Jaguara is an engineer, first of all. Okay? Is it civil? He's a civil engineer, first of all, but he's also now a student with you. Maybe we shall want to know why, from being a civil engineer, he's now here studying AI and machine learning. But also, he's in AI applications. I think he will just briefly summarize. Then we have one of his the mentee. Yeah? The mentee here is one of the beneficiaries of the services. We'll want to let you know, how do you participate in these innovation challenges? Eric, can we clap for Eric? Are we resonating with those people who say the prophet is not appreciated in his own home?
Hello, hello. Good evening. Be here. A visitor at home. My name is Eric Jaguara from Tufuna Technologies. I'm the operation coordinator. Try to manage, coordinate the different projects ongoing. But most of all, most times I'm in the field, in the overalls, climbing. Sometimes the samples are a little bit. Today I'm in a suit. So, glad to be here. We are already, time already out. I'm going to go through very fast. My name is Eric Jaguara from Tufuna Technologies. I'm a student here of AI and machine learning. I'm in my final year. I think I have some classmates around, people were sharing with. So what is at Tufuna? Tufuna, we deal in tech sales, innovations. We do tech repairs and maintenance. When we talk about tech sales, someone will wonder, will think about selling phones and what? No, that is part of it, but that is on the side. We offer various services like custom machines, customized machines. You could have you want to do particular task, but you want a machine that does that. You come to us, we design that for you, apps and all that. GPS trackers, all that, and various innovations in agriculture, especially. Like for example, in precision farming, we're going to irrigation, precision farming, precision fertigation. Fertigation as in machines that can do irrigation at the same time, fertilization of soil. Things like automated dryers of crops, all that. They made various innovations. And of course, if you make it, should be the one you're the best person to repair. So we do repairs and maintenance, and also we also take part in short courses and initiative called Tufna Cyber Camp. I think within here there have been many people who have gone through Tufna Cyber Camp also. We'll talk about it in later slides. Let's go to the next one. So as dealers in technologies, various technologies, I think it would not be right if I do not talk about the emerging technologies right now. Most likely someone will expect AI to be the first one on the list. But who has heard of edge computing? Edge computing, this talks about, you find most systems depend on cloud processing and all that. Edge computing, this brings up a different angle to this. In edge computing, everything happens in that device. Like for example, now in AI is need of the model processing the data, then giving you the prediction. Most times we get data for whatever device you're using, you get the input, then first sends it to the cloud, then it is processed up there, then comes back, but now you remember there are those things to do with internet lag, so many interruptions, but with edge technologies, everything happens on the device. You embed AI model into the device, everything happens there. Any sort of processing happens on the device. That's what we call edge computing. For example, now imagine you have a Samsung phone and then it is using AI, and then if you don't have internet, let's say your fingerprint maybe the fingerprint is dependent on AI. Then there's no internet, and then meaning you will not access your phone. See that? So that is a bit of edge computing. There's AR and VR. Who has heard of that? Augmented reality and virtual reality. Who has seen those glasses that you put on and you start seeing you're in another world? So now that is virtual reality. And then augmented reality, we are talking about a mixture of reality and there's this, you could wear those glasses, you're seeing the public, I'm seeing you people, but I could even see other people who are not here. They could be seeing other virtual things here. Imagine some other people attending here virtually, and I'm seeing them all seated here with us. Isn't that interesting? Some sort of ghosts, eh? That is augmented reality, and it has really done. There are so many. I'd wish to go into details of how impactful these technologies are, but because of time. But these are things that are interesting that you would go through at your free time. And there are so many. Also, there are so many jobs that these things come up with. There's now also 5G technology. 2G is very slow. 3G, 5G now is super fast. Quantum computing. Quantum computing. Who of us here are gamers? Gamers. You talk about those GPUs and that. Now quantum computing. This is going to be faster than your dedicated graphics cards, and that brings up so many other immense opportunities, such as in cryptology and all that. So we go to the main thing that is on the hype right now: AI, robotics, data science. I'm proud to be a student of AI, machine learning here, but also a practitioner. I began practicing before even I came here, and I realized I needed some of paper. So interesting thing about AI, so many of us here are scared about losing our jobs and all that, but mark you, no. I always insist and tell people that people who know AI are the ones going to replace people who don't what? Know AI. Not necessarily AI itself going to take people's jobs. So let us all equip ourselves with the emerging technologies so that we can retain our relevance in the job field and make sure that, so we talk about skilling beyond classroom. One thing, why does it matter? You find that we have a syllabus in curriculum we follow at school, but interestingly, this curriculum is not always change. Yet outside there, so much is always changing. So the AI hype came around 2019, 2020. But you might find that by next year, maybe it will be gone. I don't know. But what I'm trying to say that so many things are keeping on coming. So much is changing. Even if you talk about AI still, just by the time how it was in 2020 is not the same way right now. So much is happening. So the curriculum in school is rigid. You're learning sometimes old things, outdated things. Yes, they are a basis they are good foundation, but they are not really what is out in the field. So that's the reason why we need to keep on learning. Let us work with practitioners outside. Let us keep in touch with. So how do we do that more? There is put aside. Keeping in touch with practitioners, we could go into hackathons, internships, doing personal projects, all that. The problem with our what here is we're more into the projects. We may have little time for the internship, that is true. But we could take remote internships. So when you take part in these internships, you get to know what is really happening outside there. You know where to focus more, put more of your effort. Hackathons, these ones put you on pressure. They put you on pressure to do your research because you're really aiming at winning something. You put in much effort, you research more, and you hone onto your what? Your skills. These are skills that will help you in. Wow. The one of the slides is really taking me fast. But let us go. We really have little time. And go to the next slide. So after campus, you find you have got your degree and you have got your job, but that's not all, because I've told you that outside there are so many things that are keeping on changing. You graduated with AI and ML. Now you have worked for 3 years, another new thing has come on market that you don't know. So you really need to keep on skilling. And there are very many opportunities to help you with that. There are online platforms like Coursera, Udemy. At TUF now we have what we call a cyber camp. The cyber camp, you can go to the next. We have what we call a cyber camp, Tufuna Cyber Camp. Here we teach many short skills, but more into very specialized. We don't go into this kind of thing where you talk about a whole course on a particular, let's say, computer science or what. No. If a very simple example I could give is like, let us say shoemaking. Then we teach how to put a sole on a shoe. You get? That's specific to help people. Let's say you're working already, and there's that particular thing you need to update yourself on that you need to what? You come within a week, you're done, you've gone. You're at school, you're doing a course in computer science. You're interested in digital image processing or something like that. But you remember at school we have we are packed with so much content at the same time. But you want to get that particular thing. You come to Tufuna Cyber Camp, we go through that very fast. In that, you get enough time, your whole month just dedicated to that. And usually the programs are very flexible. You say on weekend, you say you come with your group of friends, we talk it out. By the way, I hope you have been taking notice of the links on that. If I go back a bit, you can visit that, www.tufuna.tech/cybercamp. You'll see much of that. So these services are for students, ongoing students, and even when you're out in the field, to help you what? Let's go to the next one. So yes, we have various internship programs throughout the year. You get a chance to do hands-on experience with the latest technologies. I told you we are in various technologies, very various innovations. You could take part in the team. And how to apply, there's a link there, www.tufuna.tech/job. There are ongoing internships. You can apply and try your luck. So in those trainings that I've told you about and our internships, one of our own, Nachuanuka Olivia, who is around, took part in our training. And I'm glad from the trainings that she took, she was able to make her own innovation that was able to win her 10 million in the Ayute, the name, I forget the full name, is the challenge. It has, so I'll give a chance to her to tell us briefly how her experience in assisting the training and how she was able to win this. But before I call her, let me just go through. There are some tech communities that I would recommend you to take part in, because when you're part of these tech communities, you get encouraged, you're working with professionals, you get inspired. And sorry that the communities I shared are the ones that I'm part of that I can confidently approve. So Data Science Africa, so because I'm into AI, most of them are more in data science and AI, sorry, but Data Science Africa, there's Data Science Network, those almost are the same. They're more into data science, and they're always annual gatherings. You find that you usually run for a whole week. How should they call them? They call them residential. Because you go for a whole week together with these professionals. Together, what chance will you ever get to be with professionals one-on-one for a whole day as mates? So Data Science Africa and Data Sciance Network always have those annual what? There's Zindi Africa. I'm an ambassador of Zindi Africa. Zindi Africa has a platform for hackathons all throughout the year. In case you want to win some money, visit Zindi.Africa, www.zindi.africa. There are always challenges to help you practice, and also, not only that, also win some money. And there's a very big community also of professionals. Deep Learning Indaba, I'm a mentor with Deep Learning Indaba. I fully recommend it. It's the biggest AI organization in Africa. There's Google Developers Group, I think it's also here in Eastbat. I'm not saying him here. It's called, what's his name? But we have a Google Developers Group here in Eastbat. Please join it. You'll get a chance to take part in various projects and events that will help you develop your skills better. ICT Association of Uganda, for people interested in ICT, IEEE always has many events here. Then there's the Joint Applied AI and Intelligence Systems Association. This one here takes not only individuals, but it's also an association of companies and organizations that are interested in AI and intelligence systems, inclusive of universities, if it's, but it would be good if it's, but also join that association. Then for more information, that's my personal number. WhatsApp number for Tufuna is the second one there, and we have a WhatsApp group for our students, our trainees. Then here at Eastbat, we created what we call the AI community. That's a WhatsApp group. You can join it if you're interested in AI. And that's our website, www.tufuna.tech, and our official email. Sorry, we had little time. I had to go through very fast, but in case you want to know, you're interested in knowing anything more, you can always contact me. Otherwise, that is it. Let us get a chance to.
Thank you very much, Eric. You want to clap for him? We now have only 5 minutes, and I want to request you. I know that he's very busy. Your Director of Academic Affairs is very busy. But if he's seated there, let us not, look in a rush. We have tried to cut so many things, so you should not worry. She's a student, and it will be very important that she gives you her insights. But just before she comes, because I know most of you will be dropping out, you know, we also have to teach you. There are things you are not seeing. Okay? Now with him, we know, I know if I ask most of you, if you know what they call the Bloom's taxonomy. How many of you know the Bloom's taxonomy? Okay, I saw comments that were coming from students. Sometimes, oh, this is very theoretical. Sometimes this is not very practical. If, for example, you wanted to do those hands-on, then you go to BTVET. You know BTVET? Technical schools. Like those ones, you will go to schools where they're just teaching you how to use a computer, and you can go and do office, you can go and do certifications. So don't confuse high knowledge order thinking with technical skills. So many students do not understand that difference. Yeah? While I will not want to say that, you know, we still need more practice, but universities is more or less an intellectual platform that is even preparing you to start thinking for the world of things that we have not encountered yet. Okay? I'll give you an example. If you wanted to have somebody to repair a radio, you cannot get a university graduate. You'll get somebody who knows how to touch those transistors. But if you want somebody who is looking into the future innovations about radios, then that is where you need to get a university graduate. So we are thinking for things, some of the things that are not even there. And on the Bloom's taxonomy, as he will tell you in the curriculum, we look at, first of all, starting with those things that we can repetitively understand until we go to the highest level of creativity. Okay? So I just wanted to make sure that the integrity of university and why sometimes things are done the way. Why even you are able to question some things, it's because you have learned and known what is not there. So let's give 3 minutes to our sister here to make her comments, and then we close the event. Thank you. You can clap her much more better.
My name is Oli. I'm a finalist, bachelor's degree, Macquarie University. I'm graduating in January. Thank you so much for having me. So I'm basically here to tell you my journey of how I came to do EdTech Africa Challenge. EdTech Africa Challenge is a competition held by Heifa International. I don't know if you guys have heard of them, but they're mainly into AgriTech. That's agriculture and technology. They're mainly into how to make people's lives easier, how to make you do agriculture. You know, most people think agriculture is a dirty profession. So sorry, but yeah. So what they do is to entice young people to come in and innovate for farmers so that you can ease their lives and so that you can make more young people want to do agriculture. So my project that won that prize fund was a dual-axis sun tracker. It's basically a machine that optimizes efficiency of solar systems by enabling solar panels to follow the sun's movement from east to west. How I came to that project, it was my final year project. We were asked to go for internship, identify a problem, and then find a solution. So I worked on an irrigation scheme where people had very large solar systems that were supposed to help them in solar-powered irrigation. And then the systems were quite basic. They're not automated, first of all. And then they're not optimally efficient. For anyone who has attended a class on solar, they'll tell you on a given day where the weather is bad like today, you won't be able to use your solar system effectively. So yeah, that's the problem I identified, and then I came up with my solution. But then I can't tell you that I sat down in class and picked up my skills from there. I had to go further. There's an extra class offered at Macquarie University, under the Department of Agriculture and Biosystems Engineering called Code with Dabe. That class basically helps you put your programming. There's a course unit called computer programming, so you just put your computer programming into practice. They meet up once a week, they gather, and they execute projects on embedded systems, IoTs, AI, and they basically bring in companies like Intellisys Uganda Limited. They bring in companies like Tufuna to teach students and help them put whatever they are thinking into practice. So yeah, that's my journey. That's how I came to execute my project. And I had my prototype at home. You know, when you've just left school, you're doing nothing, you're just applying for anything randomly. So my academic supervisor sent me an opportunity to apply for the EdTech Africa Challenge. And yeah, I put in my application and it was accepted. And then when you go for these competitions, you go through, they're called accelerator programs, where they teach you how you can use your idea to start a business. They give you entrepreneurial skills, but in like a very short period of like 5 days. Sometimes it can be 2 weeks, but yeah, it's a very competitive platform, should I say. So yeah, I did that. And then after that, they'll require proof of concept. You don't have to only go with your idea, but you have to actually implement it so that they can see that it works. They'll ask for proof of concept, and then they'll pick out what is most viable, and that's who they'll award the funds to. Yeah? What else could I add? I feel like I've covered everything. Oh, yeah. So currently, are in discussions with Heifer International on how we can scale up because it was a prototype. So we need to make something that's viable for the end user. So we are now in discussions of how we can scale up and roll out into the market.
Please clap for her more. Yeah, she's now into what they call the minimum viable product. It's part of the stages when you're having a startup. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we are, how many minutes? We are 18 minutes past 4. We must apologize. It's not usually our function we are trying to teach you direction. So we don't want to be, somebody is raising a hand, but unless if the director allows, okay. Somebody is, please, microphone. Yeah, there.
I'm also sorry, time is not enough. But I want to ask one question.
Okay.
So first of all, I am Adan, so I am computer science student semester 4. So I come up with the idea of building a platform, web application. So it's about like here, when you are sick and want to go to hospital, like you go Mulago or you go to Case Hospital, the whole day, go to the morning, you come back evening. So you lose a lot of time there, you waste a lot of time there. But what I am come up with, it's not invention, it's an innovation, it's already used rest of the world, the online medical appointment. So where you will not go to a hospital and apply from their website, you will apply from my website. So it is like online booking, and I already started you can now search, it's only me who developing it. It's called bookappointment.io, but not yet, the back end is not yet working because I have a goal to make it functional in 3 months. So I want to ask you, Side B, if they support financially, and then what is the return that they want, they support you. I don't think I need too much money or a lot of funds. So that's the question. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Adam, for the question. It's a good question. Actually, across the street is a company called Rocket Health, like right across the street. Oh, well, anyway, it transferred. It used to be across the street. Davis Muhanguzi is the founder of it. They raised 5M on it from DFC, OPIC. It's a good idea. I don't know if they pivoted, but for last I heard, they went physical, which would have been the opposite of what I would have expected. So I think there probably is a play for keeping somebody who's doing peer tech on the play that you're talking about. But if you'd have to not go physical, which is where they went. They went physical. They opened up a clinic, which is not the point. So I'd be curious to hear a little bit more. Do we provide financing? We do. Our model is quite specific. So we have two options for it. Option one, we run an external fund. That fund invests in origination platforms. Origination platforms are things like venture studios, accelerators, incubators. So we're the ones who back those people. And the other way we invest, so we don't do any direct investment. And the other way we invest is we invest through our venture studio. And we're doing a call for applications, and we're hoping to open it up likely in December. So I encourage you to get in touch with Dr. Kumar, who we'll share some information with to make sure that you guys can access that information. But thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions? I'd invite Dr. Kumar to just close us off. And then, while the camera crew, please prepare us to take a group photo so that we can end the session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, my dear students, our respected guests, and the whole team. So it was an amazing journey to learn from this team. In fact, I also noted some of the points, and I believe all our students have also made some of the note that what they are carrying from this platform today. The major thing is like what we have learned today, that what is the innovation ecosystem. Mr. John explained very nicely in depth with examples and the size of the economy in innovation system, innovation hub, and the whole area with examples of multiple countries, including US, that how much is the economy size in trillion of dollars, that how much is the share, and still if you see that, it's almost 43%. You will find that a lot of opportunities are there in innovation, the way people are doing the thing. For example, like one of our educationist, she shown that she is a teacher from last 1 decade. And then she thought that how to generate the idea, how to start up a business. This is, I always say that there is a myth. People think that for making a business, there is an age or you need so much of money, then only you can start innovation or business. It's all not truth. What she actually found, that she recognized, she identified what are the main core areas where she can focus. Always to start your business, we need to focus on our own expertise area, identify where the gap is there in the market, then challenges. It was a beautiful presentation. All our contestant, our guests have given a beautiful journey that how actually it was very innovative. I clicked a lot of pictures because I really want to see that how we can go through. We also gone through with various examples and also challenges and way forward to establish a business, that how many challenges are there. There is no possibility that you won't face challenges. And one question was there, that is there any age? There is no age. Like I believe you have heard the name of Colonel Harland Sanders. Maybe if you are not remembering his name, Colonel, he was not an army colonel, but the name was Colonel Harland Sanders. But if I will tell you his venture, which he started in the age of 60, you will remember KFC. All of you know KFC chicken. So there is no age. He started in the age of 60. So like at the beginning I was saying, maturity doesn't come with age. It comes with the work we do, the accomplishments we gain. Okay, then also we learned that what are the various internship and startup opportunities if you have idea. If you have lots of things to do in your life, then ISBAT is having a lot of different tie-ups with the industries, corporates, and innovation hubs. We are very happy to say that now we are also in touch and in line with Tanya Innovations and all our young entrepreneurs, and we will see that how our students can get the benefit of all these innovations, get in contact so that you can get a lot of opportunities for internship and also for your job, because unless you make your things demonstrated that what you can do to the world, then only you will, other people will know what you can do. So all the very best. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time, and thank you our respected guests. Thank you, sir. So I request all the members if we can.
Finish. We would like to let you know that one other important thing we do as Tanya Innovations, this session has been fully online. So whether at some point you are sleeping, you can go on YouTube, type in Tanya Innovations, you will find this talk. You can find all those other talk shows, the previous one, where we had the Vice President Commercial Services of Dubai, Chamber of Commerce. They are there online. So with the digital technology, we are moving with it. You don't have to say, I missed it, okay? So you can get there and follow them. Thank you. Okay.